Welcome to day 3 of the mid-year manifestation challenge. It becomes a mouthful when you've said it so many times over and over, and especially when I'm speaking too fast, it just blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I am so excited to have you back here on day 3. If you've missed day 1 and 2, the replays are available. If you're not signed up yet and you don't have your planner, I encourage you to sign up. The link is in the bio. And you'll get a fantastic, powerful, transformational planner that will help you just reset through this whole challenge. So today we are looking at identifying our inner blocks. And this can sometimes be exciting, sometimes a little bit challenging, and sometimes difficult, because who wants to face the things that are inside that we might not think we're ready to deal with? But if they are coming up, then for sure you're ready to deal with it. And sometimes you don't have to wait for them to come up. We can go and find where they are and bring them up and deal with them. Because it is only when we uncover stuff that we can make space for the manifestations that we want. So we can't manifest what we're secretly resisting. There's a saying that says, you don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know is what hurts you the most. So the uncovering of our limiting beliefs, our blocks, all of those things is so powerful when we can remove them and clear them so that we can move forward and manifest the dreams that we have. So let's talk about the subconscious mind a little bit. Because most of the times your subconscious blocks are in your subconscious. That doesn't even make sense what I just said. Your blocks are in your subconscious. So you're not even aware of it. And like that saying says, what you don't know is what's hurting you. So between the ages of 0 to 7, that is when our little brains are like sponges. And we're just taking everything in, everything around us. Everything that we are hearing people saying, the way people are reacting to circumstances and situations, the energy that we're feeling, even though consciously we're not aware of any of these things, and consciously we can't say, as a baby or as a toddler, you can't say, oh, I can see mommy and daddy are fighting over money, so maybe that's their issues and it's got nothing to do with the money. You soak it in and you absorb that, oh, money equals fights. And then you start having these negative core beliefs around different things in your life. So between the ages of 0 to 7, like I said, you're a sponge and you're just sucking everything in. And those core beliefs stay with you for the rest of your life until you deal with them. Because consciously, your mind doesn't always know exactly what's going on the subconscious level. You're not aware of every single thing. Like if I ask you right now, pay attention to your feet. Now, did you notice your feet earlier when I was having this conversation with you? So unless your foot was maybe hurting or you got pins and needles or something like that, you would have been aware. But in general, you wouldn't have been aware of your feet. You wouldn't have even been aware of specifically exactly the way, like right now my feet are crossed over each other. And only when I said think about your feet did I have that conscious awareness. So subconsciously, those core beliefs are sitting there, and even as adults, we are reacting to these core beliefs and we're living our life based on these core beliefs, but they're actually hurting us because we get stuck, we self-sabotage, we procrastinate, and we don't really know why. We just end up running these patterns that just play out over and over and over. So becoming really aware of what are the core beliefs, what are the things that you grew up believing. I remember as a kid watching things like Dallas. I don't know if you remember that or if maybe that you're just too young for that. But Dallas was literally about all the rich people being just like mean and obnoxious and things like that. So when we are watching these kind of things and when we are seeing that every movie portrays that the rich person is also the evil bad person, then we start at a subconscious level, start building these little beliefs. So then when you become an adult and you're all excited and yes, I want to start my own business and I have these dreams, or I'm going to climb the career ladder and I've got all these dreams. But then you start self-sabotaging and you start procrastinating over things and you don't know really why. And then when you go back and you look and you say, oh, okay, when I actually create this awareness and I uncover these things, I realize that, well, I have an inner belief that money makes people evil. So then it's not safe for me to actually create the money. So some of the sabotages that people can have is like, well, if I manifest my dream that I want, will people judge me on that? What will people think of me? Or you might be, well, I don't want to be too much, so it's better I minimize my dreams and I play small. I say I want more, but it doesn't feel safe. Maybe you know you were made for more. You have this vision of something specific that you want, or a specific lifestyle that you want. But there's a part of you that feels like, oh, that's just too much to have. It doesn't feel good on the inside of you. And some of the common blocks that women have, especially when they are on this journey of expansion and just in this moreness of themselves, when they are no longer playing small, when they are living in a desire for abundance, might be a fear of visibility. It could be a fear of receiving. Sometimes it can be so difficult just to receive not just the tangible things, but the intangible things. Think about when a friend compliments you and they might say, oh, wow, that's a beautiful dress that you're wearing. And you'll be like, oh, this is one of my old dresses, and you play it small instead of rather just saying, well, thank you, So sometimes receiving doesn't feel safe. And we minimize those things. So when we want to manifest and we're not able to receive, then that causes a block. There's some friction happening there. Sometimes there's a fear of inconsistency. Perhaps you have tried something and then you were inconsistent, and then you tried it again and you were inconsistent. So then it starts building up this fear of, well, if I now start this thing, then maybe I'm not going to see it through. Where it's better to look at life as one big fat experiment. Okay, so I tried this thing and I wasn't consistent. So how can I be better at this? What can I do differently instead of going and falling into the same pattern and doing the same thing over and over again? And then there's also a part, some of the blocks is where you're either overgiving. So you're giving everything of yourself and you're not taking the space just to fill your own cup. So your cup keeps getting depleted and you stay in the scarcity space because you feel like, oh, I need to just give to everybody. And sometimes there needs to be boundaries and you just have to say, okay, wait, I need some me time. I need to fill my own cup. So in the planner, I put together a little chart on scarcity versus abundance. So if we look at some of those things, some of the beliefs around scarcity is, I have to work hard to make money. But abundance says that money flows to me with ease and overflow. You don't always have to know how it's going to happen. It's just when you're in that state, then it does happen. Scarcity says, I need more time before I can start. Abundance says, I am ready now with what I have and where I am. Scarcity says, if I slow down, I will lose momentum. And abundance says, rest refuels my magnetism and my energy. Have you ever heard that saying that says you got to slow down to speed up? Well, momentum isn't always go, go, go and push, push, push. Remember, we anti-hustle here. It's all about doing things with ease. Scarcity says, I don't have time to focus on myself. That overgiving. And abundance says, self-care is the best investment I can make for myself. Scarcity says, what if I'm too much? Or what if I'm not enough? And abundance says, I am exactly who I need to be for this journey. Scarcity says, I should be learning more before I start. I have worked with so many clients who got into such a study loop. They went from, did this certification, and then they did that certification and that certification, just because they felt like they always had to be learning more. So that can sometimes be a scarcity loop, especially if it's holding you back from actually doing the thing that you want to be doing. So growing and learning is a fantastic thing, but when it's holding you back, it puts you in a scarcity loop. Now, abundance says, I know enough to take the next aligned step. And then finally, scarcity says that spending money makes me feel anxious. Have you ever gone to the shops and when you tap your card or you put your card in or you're paying with cash and there's just this, Well, abundance says there is more where that came from. And that is a thing that when I left a toxic, abusive relationship with not a penny to my name, absolutely no money, when I started having some money come in, and it wasn't enough for every month, but I was trusting and I was trying to live in abundance. So instead of focusing on that anxiety when I'm making a payment for something, I would get into the habit of every time I made a payment, in my mind I would say, there is more where that comes from. And now literally I am in the space of when I go and make a payment for something, miraculously the money always just comes back to me. So that is a powerful mantra that you can use and a fantastic way of moving from scarcity into abundance. So now with all of that said, yes, we need to change our beliefs and things like that. But I want to remind you that no matter how much you work on the mindset and the mantras, there's also the body that needs to come into play. Because if you have suffered some kind of a trauma, that is sitting inside your body. Whether it can be something like massive that might have happened in your life, or it can be, I don't want to downplay any trauma because trauma is trauma, but you might have gone through some things and it's there in your body. So if your body is not feeling safe, the mindset work alone is not going to be enough, because your nervous system will always take safety over what your beliefs are. So just trying to get back to my notes here. So your confirmation bias also, we spoke a little bit about the reticular activating system and what you're focusing on, you get more of that. And that was actually a funny thing. I was telling my kids this morning about the reticular activating system. I was teaching them because there's this thing about a yellow reg. So every time there's a yellow reg, so we've got white regs, but the UK has yellow regs. So when a UK is driving around in Ireland, if a UK car, then there's a yellow reg, and the kids will be like, oh, yellow reg, and then give you a little tap and say, no, hit back. And I was talking to my daughter this morning, and I was saying to her, do you know why you always see them? Because I always miss it. And I'm trying to okay, I want to get this also, but I'm actually not focused on it. So I was teaching her about the reticular activating system, and because she was focusing on that thing. And then as I was telling her that, we were driving down the road, and down the road there was other cars, and there was beautiful flowers along the side of the road, and on one section the wall was nicely painted, and there was different pillars with different colors. And I was telling her about, oh, look at this, and she said to me, but Mom, I don't care about those things. I was like, and then I was like, oh, that's exactly how your reticular activating system's working, because you don't care about those things, they're not important to you, so it just gets blocked out. And because you're so focused on the yellow reg, you are finding them all the time. And literally, She finds it before anybody else, so we're getting all the knocks. But your confirmation bias works a little bit in a different way. It's more of an opposite thing, where it looks at what are your beliefs. Okay, so these beliefs, it looks at the beliefs that you have at a conscious level. So if at a conscious level, I'm going to use money as an example because this is a big one, is if you have that belief of, let's say, okay, when you saw your parents always having a conversation about money, it would end up in a fight, okay? Then you have that unconscious belief that money is bad, money equals fights. If you, for instance, let's say you walk down the road and you picked up a coin and your mom said, no, throw it away, it's dirty, then you have unconscious belief that money is dirty. So the way your unconscious, your confirmation bias works is that it is always looking for evidence to support the belief that you have. So money, parents are fighting, okay, money is bad. Okay, money, pick up money, oh, it's dirty, money is bad. So that's a confirmation bias. And it's almost like if you think about stacking bricks on each other. So you have this core belief, right, of something that you developed as a child. And then throughout your life, your brain is always looking for evidence of why this is true, or why this is your truth. So it might not be true in the big sense of true, but it becomes your truth. And then it starts stacking on all these different beliefs and everything that you're seeing. So in order to flip the switch, we've got to reprogram our mind. And that's when neuroplasticity comes in. So for years, they didn't believe that the mind could change. You know the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and a leopard doesn't change its spots. Well, they've now discovered that, and they can actually see this using technology, that the brain can rewire itself. The brain can form new paths, new neural pathways. So if you think about, let's say there's this big field in front of you, right? And on the other side of the field, there's a shop. So in order to get to the shop, you have to walk through the field. And every day you've been walking through the field, and now it's created this path. And the more you've walked and the more other people start to walk, this path gets wider and bigger, and it's more where you can see this is a definite path. But now and that's like how the neural pathway is in your mind. It's kind of like, I almost want to say cemented, because it's there. It's very rigid. But you can change it. You can decide, well, okay, maybe it would be more exciting and more fun if I did a zigzag and I walked a zigzag to the shop. So now the first time you get on the path, because you're in this big field and the grass is long and there's long field flowers and everything, you have to walk through it. So it might be a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe there's a few, in South Africa we always used to have blackjacks. So just these tiny little things, tiny little black spikes, and they would sit on all your clothes and everything. So maybe the first time you're walking it, it's a little bit uncomfortable. But the more you're doing it, and the more you're doing it, eventually a new path is created. And what happens now is, because you have not been going down the other path, it starts growing over and it becomes non-existent. And that's exactly how we can rewire the beliefs in our mind. Those core beliefs that said money is bad, we can rewire that and be like, no, but money is not actually bad, because look how many people have done so much good in the world because they were rich, because they were wealthy. So inherently, money is not bad. Money is more, it's like a amplifier. So who you are, the money is just going to amplify it. So if you bad and negative and selfish and only care about yourself, when you have a lot of money, well, that's just going to be amplified. But if inherently you are of the type of person who wants to help other people, where we spoke about that success circle, if giving is very much a part of your success circle, then if you have more money, it means you can give more. It means you can contribute more to society in different ways. So it is so important to rewire and to create these new pathways. But if we're not aware of the path that we've been following, those patterns that we've been following, then nothing can change. Reprogramming is a choice, and reprogramming gives you choices. Because if you stay in the same place, once you have identified that, oh, okay, this is something that's holding me back. Maybe you've got a trauma response to something. When you want to do a certain thing, then you start having a reaction. Whether it's physical, mental, emotional, there is a reaction. So when you have the awareness of that thing or that belief that is holding you back, when you have that awareness, you have a choice whether you're going to do something about it or whether you're just going to keep in the same pattern, in the same cycle. So when you do make the decision, and it's a decision, to work on that pathway, to create new neural pathways, to get rid of a block, to maybe release a trauma that is within your body, then you start having choices, because opportunities are then available to you, because exactly like we spoke about in day one, about uncluttering and getting rid of stuff, and that's the same thing with these negative programmings and limiting beliefs. So with reprogramming, tools that are fantastic for this is journaling is great to uncover stuff. Brainstorming and ChatGPT is fantastic for this too, because sometimes if you're a little bit stuck, I think in day one I actually gave you guys a prompt. I'm not sure if that was in a different workshop I did or that, but I think there's one where you can ask ChatGPT to ask you questions to help you uncover something that you might be stuck with. So journaling is fantastic for bringing up those things. And then, as we spoke about yesterday, about reigniting your vision and looking at the things that you really, really desire. So when you step into that space of saying, okay, I'm going to dream big, the answer is yes to no matter what I want. This is also a great way to see what is blocking you, because the minute you say, let's say for instance, I'm going to be a billionaire, my head kicks in immediately and says, no, you're not. Who are you to become a billionaire? I was like, oh, okay, there is something that I can work with. So maybe you are saying, oh, summer, I'm going to have a summer body in the next 3 weeks. 21 days, boom, it's going to happen. That's what I'm manifesting. What happens? Your mind kicks in and is like, it's taken 5 years to create this body. You're not going to miraculously change it in 21 days. So there's something to work on, right? So looking at your desires and dreaming really big, not just putting desires at the limits, at your own limits, but stretching beyond that. That will help you to uncover these kind of things. Powerful tools to release the negative energy, especially if it's sitting in your body, is things like EFT. Hypnosis is great for that also, and then any kind of somatic work. So basically just moving your body. Qigong is one of my favorite ones also, and where you just literally, even just shaking like this, you can shake whatever's coming up for you in the moment of when you realize that thing. You can just shake it out of your body. And sometimes you need a little bit more help, because we do have blind spots. So just with that said, I've opened up 5 spots to work with somebody for 6 weeks, and we will go through everything. What is your desires? What is it you want to manifest? What are the blocks that are coming up? And I will teach you techniques and ways that you can overcome these blocks, get rid of them, clear them, and in some instances just absolutely break through them, just to smash them. So if you're interested in that, there's more information in the planner that you can just take a look at, or feel free to DM me if you just want to have a chat even if it's just out of curiosity, we can chat and see if that is the right path for you, because it's not for everybody. So now I want to take you through just a little exercise where you can uncover some of these things. And so if it's safe to do so, if you're busy driving, come back to this a bit later. I want you to just take a deep breath in and think about a desire that you have. It can be anything. It could be creating consistent income. It could be becoming more visible in your business. It could be feeling confident. It could be a new car. It could be a certain amount of money. It could be just waking up in peace in the morning. Whatever it is, just bring that desire to mind. And I want you to say it out loud. I desire to, and just notice what's coming up. Is there any reaction to this? Is there anything speaking back to you in your mind? Do you hear a little voice? Do you feel any tension? Is there any doubt? Any fears? Now I want you to pay attention. Where do you feel that in your body? Is it in your body? Or is it just the voice in your head? And now I want you to ask, what is this part trying to protect me from? And then ask, what story am I telling myself about why I can't have this? And if you don't feel any resistance, then your desire is not big enough. Where did this belief come from? And what do I need to believe instead? Take a deep breath and remind yourself that this is just old programming, and that you can choose to change it, and going forward it can be different. So remember that you are not your fear, and you are not your old story, and they are not your identity. We spoke about identity yesterday. So you get to choose who you want to be. You get to choose the version of yourself that already has everything that you want. What is it that she believes? How does she show up? So there is no failure, there is only feedback. And when you live in that space of experimentation, that I'm just going to try this and see what happens. And whatever happens, you did not fail if it didn't go the way you wanted to. But there's also the opportunity that it can go much better than what you expected. So with that, it brings us to an end, and I want to remind you about your planner and go and look at those journal prompts, because that's going to help you uncover some of the stuff in the planner. Go and look at those, the scarcity versus abundance, the mindsets, the different mindsets and beliefs. And go and, even if you want to circle it in your planner or highlight it, whatever, even if you want to scratch it out, if you don't want to believe that anymore, sometimes just that act is a signal to your brain that, okay, we don't actually want this anymore. And then also in the planner, I have set a space where you can create a personal mantra for yourself. And I've given you the steps, the exact steps to take that. Because sometimes we can be so focused on everything else that it's the little things that happen that we miss. And having a powerful mantra can set you up for a good day. It can be a great reminder throughout your day. So my mantra, I've actually set up a shortcut on my phone that every morning at a certain time, I get a message with my mantra on it. So I'm reminded of that all the time. And so use technology. You don't have to be having all these little pieces of paper and reminders everywhere. Go stick it up on the mirror also, so that when you're doing your makeup or your hair or whatever it is, that you're just reminded about how powerful you are, and that everything that you need is already inside of you. So the replay will be live later. It will go straight away onto Instagram, but in the other channels I'll put it on live later. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, where we are going to be talking about soulful strategy. So have a great day further, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.